Hey everyone, we are back with someone who is near and dear to our hearts, who has been an EstimateRocket friend for years and years. We truly love Tom Reber. Tom is a best-selling author. He is a global contracting coach, and he actually had a few seasons on HGTV, which this woman would record and make sure she saw every single minute of. So I truly enjoyed that, and I wish he'd do more TV. But Tom is a no nonsense kind of guy. He is the creator of the fight, the Contractor Fight, and he wants you to stop stealing from your family. He wants you to earn what you're worth and build a business that actually serves you. So, without further ado, I want to hand it over to the coolest guy in town, Tom Reber.
Oh, Kathy, you know how to make me chuckle. So thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And you guys always do things right. So I can't see the chat right now, but if there's a chat, go ahead and give some props to Tom and Kathy and the EstimateRocket team for me. And make sure you share this stuff online, tag them, and because they're doing great things in the industry. So Kathy, super appreciate it. And guys, we're going to dig right in. And I'm going to share some things with you that I believe are going to help you sell your business or sell your services and make the money you deserve, make the income that is commensurate with the value that you're bringing your clients every day. Because I know if you're on here, you're an uncommon contractor. You're not like the other knuckleheads that are out there. You're actually working on yourself. You've carved out some time to be here, and I have massive respect for you. And I want to give you some things that not only do I believe they work, but they actually work because I do these things myself. Been in the painting industry for an extremely long time, a few decades. And in addition to the Contractor Fight, last summer, I started a new painting company here in Colorado Springs called Simplify Painting. I run it part-time. I spend about 16 hours a week on it. And within our first 3.5, 4 months, we were at a $500,000 run rate. We're off to a great start so far in 2025. And I'm simply going to share some things with you today that I am actually not just done in the past, but I'm currently doing them. And these things are absolutely crushing it. So I'm going to get started. And guys, I'm going to kick this off with what we call vanguarding. Vanguarding means I'm going to tell you what's going to happen before it happens so you're not surprised. So it's like if you're a landscaper and you're going to tear up somebody's yard, you need to vanguard it and tell them, hey, you know, your yard's going to look like crap for a few days or a few weeks, but it's all going to come together. That way they're not surprised. Well, today, my intention for you all is to simply poke the hornet's nest, okay? I want to poke the hornet's nest, and I'm going to come after you guys a little bit here because I think as an industry, we can all do better when it comes to selling. And the truth is, most salespeople suck. I could go on for days of story after story after story of how I've sucked as a salesperson, and damn near every experience I have with a salesperson is leaves me wanting better service, more relationship, and things like that. One of the biggest issues that I've seen is that most salespeople in the trades are like baby birds waiting for the Google gods to give them a worm. Okay? Most contractor salespeople are waiters. They wait. They wait for the phone to ring. They wait for a referral. And guys, I'm telling you right now, you have to be a sales hunter. And I'm going to give you some eye-opening things here that I'm going to have you do your own math. So if you got a calculator, get it ready, because I think I'm going to open your eyes in a big way here. One of the reasons that most salespeople suck is they're just not prepared. They don't train. They lack consistency on some of the low-hanging things that we have control over every day. And we put other things above just the consistency and the training and the preparation it takes. You know, it's like the old saying, if you have 8 hours to chop a tree down, you spend the first 6 hours sharpening your axe. And I'm telling you, if you will implement the things that we're talking about here today and sharpen your axe, you will see your top line sales increase. You will see your gross profit margins go up. And obviously, what follows is higher net profit, more money in your pocket to do what you want with. Reinvest back in your company, pay off debt, buy yourself a boat. Doesn't matter. It's your money and you deserve it because you've been putting in the work. So what I want to start with here today is I want to talk about mediocre sales days. Now, let me define this for you. A mediocre sales day is a day that a salesperson does not control the things they have control over. It's very simple. Now, in the contractor fight, we have a rule, and we're over about 1,200 days in a row now where we ring the cash register every day. It is unacceptable in my eyes that if you run a business that you have a 0 day. Now, I also understand that in contracting, it's different than other things. It's not like you're selling cups of coffee, all right? But, you know, some of your projects are bigger and they take longer with the sales cycle and some of those things. So I acknowledge that. But to me, the standard is every single day, I want to ring the cash register. And for those that aren't selling a project every day, like I said, maybe you're doing remodels and you know your average job is $200,000 or $300,000. It's highly unlikely you're going to sell one of those every day. But there are things that you have control over that make or break you having a mediocre sales day. So this is all about things you have control over. They're not dependent on who's in the White House, what the economy's doing, what your competitor's doing. It all comes down to the person in the mirror executing consistently each and every day. One of my buddies, he's a contractor, his name is Anthony. You know, he was doing about 300 grand a year with no net profit. Within 1 year, because he first embraced this no mediocre sales day mentality. Within 1 year, he did 2.7 million at a 50% gross profit. And the year after, he did 3.4. And he continues to grow because he goes back to the basics of the blocking and the tackling of, I will not have a mediocre sales day. So some of these things might be like role playing. You have control over role playing. You have control over hunting and prospecting and building relationships, following up with dead leads, posting on social media, calling your past customers to check in on them. All these things are within our control, and hopefully that makes sense. So, you know, we can move on here. So what I want you to see is that every single day matters. Here's where I want you to get your calculator out. So I'm going to go off of, if you Google how many working days there are in a year, you'll get a few different answers, but it's usually somewhere around 264 working days. And what I have found doing coaching, training, workshops, working with hundreds and hundreds of companies over the past, you know, a little more than a decade, the average salesperson from our data through the years has about 2 mediocre sales days a week where they didn't control the things that they have control over. Now, I think I'm being generous with 2 a week, to be honest with you, when it comes to contractors. Love you guys. I'm one of you, but I got to call you out on this stuff. You got to get off your butts and take this seriously, because nothing happens without a sale. You have no production. You have no profit. You have no repeat business. Okay, it does you no good to get a bunch of leads and not sell those leads. So nothing happens without a sale. So let's just go with the math here real quick. If you have 2 mediocre sales days per week, that is 104. Check this out. That is 104 mediocre sales days out of those 264. That's 39% of the days. Now, let me ask you this. If you owned a sports team and you had a football team and you had a kicker, all right, and he was missing 40% of his kicks, you would probably cut him from the team. All right. I speak in sports analogies because it's what I know. But what I want to break down here for you, if you have a sales goal of $2 million, that breaks down to about 75 a day with those 264 days. That means 75 times 104, you're leaving over $750,000 on the table each year, because you are making a choice to have mediocre sales days. And guys, this is preventable. You are stealing this from yourself. You're stealing this from your family. You're stealing this from your employees. You're stealing this from your sanity. Think of all the pressure you feel. I personally believe, yes, there's leadership and there's production rates and CRMs and marketing and branding and all these other things, but I personally believe that the number one catalyst to having the freedom you want as a business owner, the life you want, the income you want, comes down to you being fanatical about selling your stuff every day. And again, like I shared earlier, you might not ink a new deal every day, but there are certain things, and I'm going to break down some of these things as we go, that you actually have control over. And I've seen this over and over and over in the lives of the people that I coach and in my own businesses, that when I am consistent and fanatical about these things that I have control over, the cash register rings more. And it rings at higher profits because I'm always working on me. I'm always looking to get better and training. And little side note here before I move on and talk about some of these other things, because I'm gonna go into some objections here in a minute, because I want to give you guys some tactical things to help you, but I really want to drive it into your head here, okay, that it's time to get serious about the things that you have control over. It's time to stop playing business owner. It's time to put the craftsman hat off to the side, although craftsmanship is incredibly important. When you own a business, your number one job is to sell stuff. It's that simple, at a profit. So I'm encouraging you as I go on and talk about how to handle some objections and prepare for those and talk about some of the other tactical things that'll help you sell more. I want you to keep this front and center of this mindset that this is my new standard. This is how I'm choosing to show up. And I promise you, you will grow your business. On that note, if you are not role playing every single week, I don't think you're serious about growing your business. I think you're being mediocre. I think you're leaving money on the table. I think you're cocky. You're arrogant. You think you have it all figured out. Guys, I've been doing this. I run a coaching company. We do daily sales training role plays in our coaching group, and I still role play. I run the company and I still role play because I know I will never arrive. I believe that sales is a skill, just like playing guitar or learning how to swing a golf club. And it is also a perishable skill, meaning if you are not practicing and you're not intentional, the skill will perish. So training is not something you did. A lot of people say, yeah, I've had sales training. I'm like, well, how long ago was that? Well, it was like 8 years ago. All right. To me, you're not serious about growing your business. All right. Because you're getting arrogant. You're cocky. You think you've arrived. So if the shoe fits, wear it with that. Now I want to break in to some of the things that I've learned about handling objections. I've got a few objections examples here that I'm going to talk through and share with you how I handle them and why I handle them in a certain way. And then I'm going to give you some tactical things that you can actually implement today. So hopefully you guys are tracking with me and we'll get rolling here. So the first thing is understanding that when a prospect gives you an objection, it is emotional by nature. Our emotions drive the bus. And so the number one thing you have to remember when somebody gives you an objection, like, I got to think about it, or that's too much money, or whatever it is, all right, you've got to keep calm, okay? And speak first to their emotion, and the logic will follow. If you create that human connection when dealing with objections, and you're not getting all defensive and all that other garbage, okay, which are some of the common mistakes, right? You get an objection and you think, oh, I'm just going to, make the case for the ROI on doing the kitchen or doing this project. Or sadly, a lot of people ignore objections, or they get defensive and they start justifying, well, you're higher priced than the other guy. Well, overhead's high and there's gas prices and there's inflation and there's this. And many years ago, one of my old companies, my old painting companies, I remember I spent about an hour crafting this highly detailed message to a guy who just said, I can't understand why your prices are so high. And I tried to address it with logic. And I can guarantee you he didn't read the whole email, and I wasted an hour of my life. What I should have done is pick the phone up and do some of the things that I'm going to share with you right now on how to handle these objections. So now, in order to crush these objections, There's two things that need to happen. Number one is you got to prepare for those. I've talked about that already, about the importance of training and role play. See, I would rather be backed into a corner and not know how to get out in practice than in real life. And that's why role playing is so important. It's a safe place where you can work on your sales skills and you can work on your tonality and your spirit of the conversation and the emotional connections. And when you do that, you will find that you are preparing in a stronger way. Okay, training is important. The more reps you put in will prepare you from the real punches are being thrown at you out in the real sales world. And I'm telling you right now, it's very difficult to show up with excellence and control the emotions involved in a sale if you're not practiced fanatically. So again, the majority of sales teams do not role play consistently, and this is costing them millions and millions of dollars. Second thing that's important when handling objections, and you'll see here in some of the word tracks that I'm going to give you. When faced with an objection, I always want to acknowledge it, and then I want to put it back in their court. See, I ask a question when appropriate that gives them the power. I'm taking control of the sales process by giving them control by putting it back in their court. So one of my least favorite objections that I get, and I think we all get, is the old, I need to think about it. Okay, you go out there, you meet with somebody, you have this great rapport and a great conversation, and like you're ready to bet your 3 children and their future on the fact that you're going to win this job because you got such a great rapport and everything's going great and they like us and all that other garbage, and then they pull out the, I need to think about it. Now, what I'm not going to go into for time's sake today is there's a lot of things you could do on your pre-qualification call that avoid ever getting some of these objections. And that's one of the things, or several of the things that we teach inside our program. But today, tomorrow, Monday, whatever it is, when you go out and you're having a sales conversation and you get, I need to think about it, okay? Simply acknowledge the objection. Hey, I can appreciate that. See, right there, it's just a simple acknowledgement. It's not defensive. You're not arguing, and you're basically agreeing with them. I can appreciate that you would want to think about it. I've found, this is the one I use, I've found that making decisions comes down to having the right information more than taking the time to think. What do you, this is putting it in there, the information. Now, this is a great strategy for a few reasons. Number one, you're implying a partnership with the client or the prospect by using we. Okay, what do you think we should do next to get you the information that you need? Secondly, you're avoiding needing to justify why your company does things in a certain way. I can actually respect somebody that wants to think about it. I just want to help them think about it. I sold a paint project, it was about $4,000 a few months ago, and I pre-qualified him over the phone. We talked budget, he agreed on the budget, and I got there, he dropped the old, I need to think about it, and I smiled. His name was Don, and I smiled and I said, hey, Don, I can appreciate that. Let's think about it together. What information do you need? And we talked through it right there on the spot and got a deposit check and did the job the next week. Also, when you're taking control like this, you guys, you're putting the ball in their court. Nobody wants to feel like they're in a position that's inferior to somebody else. That's one of the reasons people hate dealing with salespeople, is because they think they're slimy. And I know you guys aren't slimy. You're just trying to do great work, show up and produce it with integrity and take care of your customers. But if you're not equipped properly, you will come across with the wrong tonality, a pushiness, or whatever, because their guard is up. But when you acknowledge their objection, that guard starts to drop a little bit, and now we're just having a conversation. We always like to tell people, when you get an objection and you're in the sales process, just pretend you're talking to your favorite uncle. If you're in the backyard barbecue and your uncle says, hey, how much is it going to cost to paint my house? Okay, you're not going to be all puckered up because it's your uncle. You're just going to go, well, it depends, Uncle Tom. What's important to you on the project? Okay, what's not important to you? What's the timing look like? You're just going to be curious. So when you're curious in your objection and handling after you acknowledge it and you put it back in their court, they're in control, which they feel they're in control, but you're really in control because you're guiding the conversation. Also, you'll find an opportunity to find a better solution because they're the ones that are going to propose it. When you go, what do you think we should do next? Okay, and I'll get to money things, objections here in a second, but I had recently somebody that was like, Tom, you're literally over 2.5 times more than any other bid that we've got, anyone else we've talked to. Now, the old Tom, the untrained salesperson starts saying things like, well, we do quality work and we have great reviews and we have lots of repeat, but we start justifying and making the case. That is not helpful. Okay, I just simply said, yeah, I hear that from time to time. What do you think we should do next? And he proposed a solution. It was a rather large project. And he says, well, would you be open to doing the job in phases? Because I don't have all the money right now, but I really want to work with you. See, they came up with the solution because I put it back in their court. Hopefully this makes sense. Next objection. This is too much money. I don't know about you, but when they say that, my skin crawls and it just bothers me, just to put it simply. Okay. This is too much money. Again, acknowledge it, you guys. Hey, that's interesting. Now let me pause here. And I'm just telling you from my own personal experience. I don't need to share about any of the people we were. I just share all the mistakes I've made. In the past, when somebody says too much money, I feel like I am being backed into the corner and I have to justify why I'm more money. I don't know if anyone can relate to that. Okay. It's like literally as I'm recording this, there's a corner here. I feel like I'm backed into the corner of the room. And this word track I've used for many years has enabled me to kick the wall out behind me and escape without having to defend. And I still keep the relationship strong with the client and all that rapport, because tonality, okay, if there is any sense of defensiveness, all right, it's going to hurt the sale. So the spirit of your conversation and tonality is key. So, Tom, this is just too much money. So instead of me defending, I acknowledge, hey, that's interesting. Joe, just out of curiosity, what makes you say that? You hear the gentleness, the concern. What makes you say that? Guys, this is about control. I don't know about you, but I'm tired of feeling like I'm on my heels with prospects when I get objections like this. See, this shift in control of going, that's interesting. What makes you say that? It actually leaves them obligated to defend their position and to fill in the gaps of their previous statement. That's why this is such a powerful, powerful word track. It allows you to better understand where they're coming from. So again, I'm just real life stuff here, you guys. Not too long ago, somebody was like, this is too much money. I'm like, hey, that's interesting. What makes you say that? And we're like, well, last time we had our house painted, it was $6,000 and you're telling me it's 14. And I just said, hey, how long ago did you have your house painted? And this was, and they're like, it was like 14, 15 years ago. And then I agreed again. I said, I know, it's crazy, isn't it? Things just cost way more than we think they should cost. What do you guys think we should do next? And again, I put it back in their court because I have a better understanding of where they're coming from without making assumptions. It allows us to better help them because you have a deeper understanding of where they're coming from. Just yesterday, I had one of our Shinfu, that's what we call our sales process, a Shinfu call with a prospect. And they said, hey, I'm looking to do the house and blah, blah, blah. And they just kind of spit out all the details and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And we need it painted. And they're like, what do you charge? And I gave them a starting price. And I hadn't yet gone into discovering their motive and asking all the questions that I wanted to ask. But I just said, we start at X amount, for something like this, it'll probably be in this range. And she's like, well, that's too much money. And I said, that's interesting. What makes you say that? She's like, well, the house is empty and we're just wanting, we're wanting to sell it. We just want one coat of the same color to freshen some things up. And I said, okay, well, now that I have a little more information, maybe we can work something out to be more efficient, get you what you need, because they didn't want the Taj Mahal painted. They just wanted a fresh, clean paint job so that it can help sell their house. But I wouldn't understood that had I gotten defensive and justified my position. All right. If I were standing live in a room in front of you right now, I'd say if you're tracking with me so far, give me a helmet tap. That's what I used to do with my football players. You know, like, hey, you guys understand? They would tap their helmets. So tap your helmets for me, even though I can't see you. Final one I want to touch on here are how I handle, because I know, again, you guys get these things because we're in the real world. It's again, Tom, you're higher than all the other bids we got. Hey, I hear you. Acknowledgement. You're saying that our price is higher than the other bids, and I hear that from time to time, and that's definitely something important to consider. Can you tell me more about what the other bids include? I just want to make sure that we're comparing apples to apples here, and if there's any flexibility on our end, we'll find a way to make, find a way that makes sense for both of us. Would that be fair? See, again, the goal is to just get them talking more about their priorities and other offers and scopes. Because I don't know about you guys, but and I'm just talking painting industry, but as contractors as a whole, very rarely is everything the same scope all the time. All right. Certain things are important to people that might not be important to other people, whatever it is. But guys, this will open up space for some conversation around negotiating scope, because I don't discount. I just renegotiate scope and timing, but I don't discount. Okay. Can you come down $1,000? I'd be like, I understand that you don't want to spend more money than you need to, but, let me ask you a question, Bob. Out of all the things in the scope of work that we've talked about here, what do you think you could live without? Okay. So guys, this is all about protecting the relationship, spirit of the conversation, tonality, not getting defensive, but taking control. Hopefully you guys are tracking with me so far. All right. Next thing I want to share with you is the importance of carrying your own water as the leader in your business. A couple of years ago, it was December 31st, 2023. My family, we live in Colorado Springs. My family, we went to Scottsdale for a week. One of our daughters had a ballet thing she was doing there for the week, this intensive. And we said, hey, let's get out of the cold. Let's go down to Arizona for a few days, for a week or whatever it was. And at around 9:30, 10 o'clock, December 31st, 2023, I sat down on the couch, had a nice cup of coffee, I had a bag of pretzels, I grabbed my phone, and I turned on college football at the Airbnb that we were staying at, because nothing's better than me than a whole weekend of college football bowl games. And as I sat there, I said, I need to run through the finish line of 2023. Meaning, I got to finish strong, because other eyes are watching me. My team is watching me. How I go as a leader, my team goes. And so I started going through a whole year's worth of DMs and emails and things like that, of conversations. People reached out. Hey, we're interested in having you speak. Hey, we're interested in your program, whatever it is, and I'd go back and forth, and then they would just disappear. The conversation would end. It would drop off the face of the earth, right? And I sat there from about 10 a.m. till around 9 o'clock at night watching football. And throughout the course of the day, I sold 9 new clients and or speaking gigs on the last day of the year. So for those of you that have a sales team, this is a pet peeve of mine, okay, with salespeople in general. It's the mindset around hunting and doing the little additional extra work in those unseen hours. Guys, nobody else was DMing people on New Year's Eve, but I was. I'm uncommon as a salesperson. I sell 365 days a year. I will answer DMs at 10:30 at night. I know some of you are like, Tom, you're crazy. You got to have some life-work balance. Guys, I'm wired differently. So I acknowledge that. Not everyone's like me, but I'm telling you, if you want to have those dreams that you have for your business fulfilled, it is going to require an uncommon work ethic that starts with you setting the example. Because I have salespeople in the Contractor Fight. I have a team that's watching me, and every time we have a new sale, everyone's Slack channel rings in the company. And 9 times that day on New Year's Eve, I was sending a message that if you want to be on this team, you got to carry your water, and I'm the one leading the way because I'm doing my part. So how can you carry your water as a salesperson? It's things like hunting. AKA prospecting. I picked up a $500,000 a year client many years ago. I was driving in traffic. This van drove by. It was a construction company that I didn't know. It said they did like remodeling and stuff. And they were called Princeton Builders. And I was at a red light in Naperville, Illinois on Route 59 and Ogden Avenue. And I saw him drive by, and I picked my phone up and I called the number on the truck. And I said, "Hey, are you the guy in the van on Route 59 right now?" And he starts laughing. He goes, "Yeah, I'm Doug." I said, "Doug, I'm Tom. You build stuff, I paint stuff. I thought we should know each other." That's hunting. He started laughing. He said, "Actually, your timing's pretty good. Let's have a conversation." We met, later that day, I think it was actually, we carved out some time. We met, and then the next day we got together for a few hours. And I ended up doing 50 to 60 brand new basements that he did, custom gorgeous basements, like 2,500 square foot basements, and generated well over $500,000 a year for my company because I picked up the damn phone. I didn't wait for shit to happen. Okay. You can carry your water as a salesperson by preparing, by role playing, by researching people. I have leads that come in with Simplify Painting. You know what I do? I look for them on Facebook. I do a little research before I call them back, because then it helps me guide the conversation. And many times I'm like, hey, I looked you up on social media, because sometimes we have leads that come through that aren't real people. And that's why I look. That's what I tell them. And they chuckle a little. And I said, "Hey, I see you're, you got a kid at the Air Force Academy here. What year are they in school, and how's that going?" And it just creates more of that rapport. It shows that I did a little research, especially for those of you that do commercial stuff. Research the people that you're talking to. All right. You want to carry your water, be a better communicator. Communicate with your clients in an uncommon way. Track your stuff. Track your stuff. You're here at EstimateRocket's Scale and Soar 2025. You have an amazing tool to track your stuff. If you want to really carry your water and understand the data and how to help you grow your business and spend your time on the things that actually move the needle, so the juice is worth the squeeze of the effort you're putting in every day, you have to track your stuff, because you'll know what adjustments to make. You want to carry your water, you do what we call U.I.Ts. I'm going to get to those in a second. They're called unexpected intentional touches. And I'm going to blow your mind with how one contractor added $1 million last year. Okay. Social media. A lot of you guys are fighting social media. My little baby painting company here in Colorado Springs called Simplify Painting, we did a little over 40 grand this month in January. I do it part-time. Okay. 28,000 of it came from me doing social media posts, you guys. I'm just on a job site. I'm pulling out the camera and I'm just showing the guys rolling a ceiling. I'm like, "Hey, the paint's the paint. It looks great. But, one of the things we really know is we have to earn your confidence every day. And that starts with the way we prep things and the way we communicate and this and that." And it's a 15, 30, 45-second video. And there's posts. It's not just before and after stuff. I'm telling stories. Guys, this is what it means to carry your water. And too many of you are more concerned with being embarrassed on camera than you are providing for your family. All right? This will help you build your brand. And when you build a brand, you have less competition and you sell at higher prices because you have a brand. Okay. The key here is carry your water so you never have any wasted, mediocre sales days. Next. Sorry, I had to take a drink. I believe this next thing I'm going to share with you is probably the most important strategy you can ever implement in your business to grow your business. Do you still care about me? The Queen, that's my wife, Lee. We call her the Queen. We met on Match.com several years ago, and we DM'd back and forth. And we were impressing each other. And then we decided to meet in person. And we just had an epic date and a connection. And then we started dating, and I'd send her notes and flowers and gifts. And we'd play grab ass in the kitchen. And we pursued each other. Then we got married and the goal was attained. And then from there we can coast, right? Guys, that's what happens far too often with salespeople. Okay. You put your best foot forward. you're responsive, you go out of your way to win the business, then we sell the project, and then we move on like it's a one-night stand to the next one. And my take is I want to love my prospects and my existing clients in a way that nobody else ever will, because I'm not taking the relationship for granted. I paid for the lead. I paid for my sales training and the investments I'm making in my brand and all these different things. I'm working my tail off to earn somebody's business. And then when I get their business, I act like I don't care anymore. And that's wrong. That's what most salespeople do. Okay. Here's some crazy stats for you, if you like stats. The average company loses 10 to 25% of its customers a year. Okay? If you boost your retention rates by even 5%, you can increase your profits up to 95. Only 18% of businesses prioritize retention over new customer acquisition. I'm going to touch on that a little more in a second here. You have a greater chance of selling to an existing client than a brand new one. And it costs a lot more to acquire new customers than to retain the other one. So if that's the case, why aren't we spending time not just trying to generate more leads and sales on the front end? I get that. We all do that as business owners. But what would happen? What would happen to your profits if you were to make loving your current clients the top business growth strategy? Think about that for a minute. See, it's how you show up after the sale that really matters. Okay? After the warranty is up, a year after you do the job, most contractors go dark and there's no involvement. And this is probably one of the most underutilized sales growth strategies that's available to you, because we're always chasing the new customers. We're always chasing the top line instead of the people that have already proven that they love us, they paid us, they respect us, and they had a great experience. It's an area that I think we can all grow in, is really loving up on our current clients. And some of the ways that you do that. Immediate tactics, I said I'd share with you. The U.I.T, the unexpected intentional touch. It goes like this. You can't see me, but I'm holding my phone, my cell phone. This is not a mass text. It is not a mass email. It is literally picking up the phone. And I would like all of you to do this today, by the way. Everyone that's listening to this, I want you to do it. And I want you to tag me in a social media post or DM me on social media. You can go to @Contractor Fight on Instagram, all right, or whatever it is, wherever you find me, and let me know how it went. Okay? I did a sales workshop for a $10 million painting company last year. I had everyone pull out their phones and do this, and within 24 hours, they sold another $80,000. 80. Okay? And it simply goes like this. Hey, Joe, it's Tom with Simplify Painting. Painted your house last summer. I was just thinking about your project and wanted to check in and see how it's looking. Hit me back when you get a second. Hey, Mary, it's Jenny with ABC Construction. I know we built your deck, a couple of years ago. I just wanted to follow up. How's it looking? Is everything still, strong? Blah, 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 whatever words you want to use. It's not a sales pitch. It is simply showing them that you care about them. And it's unexpected, it's intentional, and is a past client touch. Okay? I'm going to share what a GC did here recently on the next slide. There's the warranty call. Hey, Joe, we painted your exterior last year. We built your thing. We did this, we did that. And I was just looking through the files here. Your warranty is going to be up in 3 months. And I wanted to schedule a time to come out and do your warranty visit. Last time I did one of those, he's like, what's that? And I said, well, it's a time for me to come out, meet with you, just walk the project we did with you for 10 or 15 minutes. I just want to put eyes on it in case there's anything with workmanship or anything that's starting to go south. We can address it, and it's our problem, and it doesn't become your problem. Guys, that's uncommon. Most people, most contractors run away from warranty work. I run into it. We found that 35 to 38% of the warranty visits we do turn into additional work, either a referral or a repeat work with the client that we do the warranty work for. Because what happens is you go out there, all right, and the law of, what is it called? The law of reciprocity kicks in. You did something nice for them, they want to do something nice for you. 35 to 38% of the time when we do a warranty visit, and we're out there and we just inspect things and look at it and address anything that's a problem, 38% of those people say, hey, while you're here, do you do interior painting? While you're here, we're thinking about this. Is that something that you do? I see it happen over and over again because, again, these are things you have control over. Okay. Next, it's that warranty response time. How fast do you respond when there's a problem? Okay. I already talked about the warranty visit and those things, but guys, don't drag your feet getting out there. Show them that they're still important. When you were courting them as a new prospect and a new client, you were inconveniencing yourself to meet with them. You would call them, talk to them, drop by, meet with them anytime they wanted because you're trying to earn the business. All right. The way you respond when there's a problem also sends a message. Gifting, handwritten notes, client appreciation parties, all these different things are tactics, right? One that I want to tell you about real quick here before I move on. Just got a couple more things and I'm going to open up for some questions. Is the 3-3-3. So currently in Simplify Painting, and those that I coach in the fight and the companies we coach, we encourage people to do, and I automate this, okay? And I send these out. 3 days after I do your project, you're going to get a text and an email. And it's going to say, hey, Kathy, it's Tom with Simplify Painting. It's been 3 days since we did your project. I just wanted to check in with you, make sure everything's still looking good. I know we did the final walkthrough the other day, but if there's anything, don't hesitate to call me. And we do a similar message in 3 weeks and a similar message in 3 months. This keeps them engaged. This came from, I don't think they still do it, but it came from Nordstrom. They used to do this thing called 3-3-3, and I hired a customer service expert several years ago to speak to my coaching group, and he shared this, and we were like, holy cow, this is brilliant. And guys, it really hit home with me because I had a competitor of mine in one of my old painting companies outside of Chicago. I sold this project that was about $20,000. I'm walking through the house and, I'm having a conversation with this lady, and I said, hey, you have a nice paint job here. I mean, it's looking worn and stuff. When's the last time it was painted and who did it? She's like, oh, it was painted X amount of years ago and it was such and such company. Guys, I know the other company. The guy was a friend of mine. He's an amazing guy, amazing company, amazing quality. I have nothing but great things to say about him. I said to her, how come you didn't call them back? She said, let me show you. So if you remember, guys, there was this trend in kitchens many years ago where they would put a desk in the kitchen. Okay, so you got the kitchen, maybe there's the fridge, and to the left, there's like 8 or 10 feet of wall, and they'd like build a desk into it, okay, pay your bills or whatever you want to do. She was crawling around on the floor, cleaning her floor. She spilled something. And this was like a year or so after they painted her house. She happened to look up, and under the desk, there was a strip of drywall that you had to go out of your way to see it. Nobody would have ever seen it unless you were on your hands and knees. Because they missed that little piece of drywall, she didn't call them back. I know it's ridiculous, totally unfair to him, okay? But he lost out on another $20,000 from that customer because he didn't have something in place to check in on a regular basis, okay? So hopefully the point is made there, guys. I talked about the U.I.Ts. One of our guys named Bob in our joke, this is funny, his little nicknames for me, Reberoni and so forth. Just going to put this out there. It's been a little over a year since you did the U.I.T call. I did a training call for our group. I don't know who else has done it, but that is no effing joke. Over $1 million in our bank account from past customers to past customer referrals. You read that right, $1 million. He goes on to talk about he paid off a bunch of debt and all this other stuff. Guys, all he did every day, okay, and the story gets better, but all he did every day is 3 times a day, he would send a text to past customers. Certainly not the ones you don't ever want to work for again. You get my point there, okay? Hey, Sam, it's Bob. Built your addition last year. Just want to check in, see how it's looking. And they're like, hey, thanks for calling, or thanks for reaching out. We were actually talking about building a garage. Do you do that? And it was just project after project. Our data that we've tracked for the past several years in the fight, you guys, is if you do 3 a day, 3 U.I.Ts a day, that's about 800 a year, 792 or something like that. Call it 800. We found that 5% on an annual basis turn in to more work. That's 40 new projects, whether it's repeat business or a referral, simply because you did something that is free and it takes you like 7 minutes, if that. And I will tell you, most people will just reply and go, hey, looks great, thanks for checking in, and that's it. However, there's always a percentage that they have something going on in their life. Maybe they moved, maybe their kid bought a house and they need a contractor. You never know what's going on in somebody's lives. And guys, you worked your tail off to earn that client. You paid for the leads, you earned the business, you served them at a high level. Don't let them go. There are millions of dollars in your database right now. My question for you is, will you be lazy like most and don't do a damn thing with it? Or will you step up and commit to the discipline required to achieve elite status as a salesperson? It's really that simple. Now, I'm going to give you a quick tool here. I call it the FW day, the F in winner. That's what we call cool people in the contractor fight, FWs. There are 3 activities, 3 categories. Number 1 is a personal activity, then a pipeline, then a profit. Personal. And guys, you make these what you want. This is just an example. Me, I put my eyes on my goals every day. And I work out, I move my body, I take care of me. My pipeline activity, okay? There's 1 task. Send 1 U.I.T a day, or 1 prospecting message to an influencer. You see a contractor driving by, or a realtor, a home inspector, whatever, I don't care, you know who your influencers are. Stay on their radar, prospect, hunt. And then a profit activity, 1 task, 1 thing today to protect your profit. It could be job costing, okay? It could be setting up your templates inside of EstimateRocket. It could be making a follow-up call. It could be role playing. Today, you can all check the box for a profit activity because you're on this training, okay? When you do these things consistently over time, guys, I've coached thousands of people around the world in all contracting industries. And I can tell you, those that embrace the FW day and they make it their own, they win at higher levels. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. If you want help, you can reach us. Check us out at thecontractorfight.com. We have a new program for those doing under $500,000 called Contractor Business School. And we have a deal that ends tonight. So if you want help growing your business and be a better salesperson and a leader, go ahead and check that out. And with that, I will open it up to any questions. Thank you so much.
Wow, Tom, I'm inspired.
I think we might have to implement a few of those programs, Tom.
Wow.
No hanging fruit.
So
Right.
I just want to interject here for a moment until the questions start coming in. But, part of what I do on a weekly basis is call our existing customer base. And you can't believe how shocked someone is when I say, hey, this is Kathy from EstimateRocket. How are you doing? And they're just shocked that someone would take the time out of their day to call them and ask them. Now, we have thousands and thousands and thousands of companies, so it's hard, to get them all even in a year, but I do my best and I write notes and, and I know who I've called and all that. So I feel it's so important to let people know how much you appreciate working with them.
Oh, 100%. Kathy, I know you do that. That's a total strength of yours. You're an incredible, people person and love your customers like no other. So total props to you there. We have a guy who's in the landscape industry, and I think he has about 8 employees that are either like overhead office employees, admin assistants, things like that, and then salespeople combined. And then he's got his field team, and around 13,000 people. And as you know, one person can't do that, right? If we were to do a U.I.T to everyone in their database, they'd have to do 1,000, just under 1,100 a month. Well, if you divide that by 8 people, that's 135 divided by 20 working days. That's 6 a day per person.
Right.
And it takes 10, 15 minutes. So you can gang tackle this as a company too, But my big thing with this, you guys, do not do it as a mass email because they're not special. Okay? You can pick the phone up and call them or text them. Okay? But I'm not a fan of doing this via email because it's just not as personal. If that's all you got is their email, then that's better than nothing. And if you do a mass email of this, like I said, it just doesn't hit home. But when you text and go, hey, Kathy, it's Tom with Simplify Painting, and I hope your daughter's graduation party went really well last June. I know we were jumping to get the house done for you in time, and I just wanted to, hope the party went well and wanted to check in and see how the paint job's looking.
Right.
It's that simple, you guys, and it's free. It's just a little bit of time. You could do it while you have your morning coffee in your truck every day if you wanted to, or in the office, or on your recliner. I don't care what it is.
And I really like
Hey,
how
Tom.
Oh,
Just going to say, Alyssa asked a question. She said, wondering what you think about giving out small gifts to clients for work and referrals. I know another company that does it around the holidays to all their clients for that year.
Yeah, the gifting thing is funny. I think most of us, most companies, let's just go, most companies go, oh, it's Christmas, we need to send shit to people, right? and I look at that and go, well, what if we did it throughout the year, and so it was more special where it wasn't expected? So number one, I'm not saying do or don't do the holiday stuff, but I think the gift giving is great if the gift is personalized. One of the best gifts we ever got, my wife and I ever got, we like to have a glass of wine and it sounds weird, but we have like pepper jack cheese and Triscuits a couple times a week and a bottle of wine, kind of like our own little happy hour. And there was a industry partner of ours who knew that, because he'd see us on social media. We'd be like, hey, it's happy hour at the Reber house and stuff like that. And we sent him business and this and that, an industry partner, and he sent us wine glasses with, her name's Lee, and so it was T and L on the wine glasses and a cutting board with our names. It wasn't his company name on it. That is the key point here to me. And every time, at least 2 to 3 times a week, guys, we're doing this, and we think of this person, okay? But it's got our name on it. And so I have, one of our coaches, this is funny, his guys have been trained to look in the garbage cans of what people drink, what kind of beer, what kind of bourbon, whatever. And when they get done with the job on the final walkthrough, they give them a $200 bottle of bourbon and to say thank you. And it's very personal. And so, yeah, I'm a fan of that 100%.
wow. And I was just going to say that I think it's really powerful. In today's world, there's so much hatred and arguing and fighting that just to get a call from someone that you're working with, just to check in with them. Hey, how are you? How are you doing? Is everything okay? Are you happy? Do you want to let me know if there's anything that's frustrating you?
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen anymore.
Well, we're so automated, right? Technology's great, but I think we got to do a better job of getting back to some of the handshake, face-to-face relationship conversations. There's certainly, a time and place for all the automations, but, I know one guy that, he's got a list. We all have our favorite customers, right? Every one of us have the top 20 in our database that we would love to clone. Okay. So have that list, you guys. And if you got an open day, call them up, and just go, hey, Kathy, it's Tom with Simplify, and we have an open day next Thursday. And, I'd be happy to send somebody over to do some touch-ups for you for a couple hours. If you got anything that's bothering you, just let me know. Have a great day. Guys, you're paying your person to go do that, but that's probably the best marketing spend you could ever do.
Right.
When you're playing the long game with this, not just looking at transactional.
Right.
And it's uncommon.
And I like the point that you brought up, that it's much cheaper for your company to do more for an existing customer than acquiring a new customer.
Yeah, well, the story I told you guys about the guy that was like $4,000, and I said, let's think about it together, and we kind of chuckled and we sold the job. I sent him a U.I.T 3 months later, just past fall, and I just said, hey, Don, it's Tom, just want to check in. How are things looking? Blah, blah. Hey, still looks great. Thanks again for checking in. You guys were awesome, blah, blah, blah. I said, cool. About 20 minutes later, he texts me back. He goes, hey, you interested in doing my exterior? Okay. And I said, let's have a conversation. Long story short, I sold a $14,000 exterior with 0 lead cost. Okay, because I loved
Wow.
up and I connected with my database.
Yeah.
So guys, hunting doesn't mean you're just hunting for new prospects. You're hunting your database as well. And if you want to use farming, that's probably a better analogy, right? You're farming it, you're pulling the weeds and, watering it and all that other stuff. But we all have, in the contractor fight, I have a database of like 45,000 contractors,
Hmm.
And so if you really think about it, I really don't need new customers. I just need to love the ones we have.
Right.
Hey, Tom.
Yes, sir.
Question is it the contractor fight for larger companies?
Is the contractor fight for larger companies?
Well, the question came in is, what's the website for companies?
Okay. So
The full, not the contractor business school, but the full program.
yeah, well, if you go to thecontractorfight.com, everything's linked there. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yes, and anyone at any time, as you know, can reach out to me day or night, and I will connect you with Tom. So that's not a problem. You can find Tom easily.
Absolutely.
We will hook you up. Awesome, Tom. That was I bet there's not a person here who hasn't written U.I.T down on their notepad.
And I just want to remind everybody, right? Like bamboo grows under the earth in the ground for 4 years before it pops up, right? There's a process.
Wow. Yeah.
Right.
All right. And so these UITs, you're not, very rarely do you send a UIT and immediately get more work. It's
Right.
the daily consistent practice where it just becomes a non-negotiable that I'm going to touch somebody every day, 1 to 3 people a day, and check in on them because I care. I literally have no agenda, because back to some of those stats I shared, it's like, if we just kept all of our customers, your business would grow if you never lost a customer. So what do I have control over? Doing my part to love up on them. It's that simple. And a byproduct of that is we get more work and we get more referrals. So It's simple.
Beautiful thing.
Awesome.
Well, we totally appreciate you. I think we're actually a little past, because I'm going to give everybody a quick break before our next speaker. Any final thoughts, Tom?
I thank you so much for having me. And guys, I just encourage you to take one thing and implement it. Just implement. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Intentions don't mean a thing. It's what we actually execute on that are going to move the needle. So implement something. That's all I got.
Well, and the EstimateRocket community appreciates you, Tom Reber.
Thank you very much.
I'll see you next week.
I will see you next week at PCA Expo. Awesome.
Yes.
Appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend.
All right.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
Tom.
Tell Lee we said hi.
Will do.